Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for November 17th through 24th, 2025. Well, we are heading into a very powerful new moon, the Scorpio New Moon, and it's happening at 28 degrees Scorpio, the very end of the sign. 28 degrees, 12 minutes of Scorpio. So it's very powerful because we've got the Sun and Mercury meeting up for this new moon. The Sun in Scorpio, moving along, coming into a conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. Mercury is in Sagittarius right now, backing up on the 20th, the day of this new moon, will be moving back into Scorpio. So it's very powerful because the Sun comes to Black Moon Lilith, which triggers that Grand Water Trine. Mercury moving into back from Sagittarius to Scorpio means his second of 3 oppositions with Uranus, now back in Taurus. It's so intense, and we need to remember this right now, that we've got Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde, and Uranus retrograde back in their previous signs. And Pisces is the end and the death and the Piscean age. It's the persecutions. It's the most horrible. It's the biggest karma. It's the things we don't want to face. And then Scorpio is about having this strength, to dig deep, because we want to live. We want to save our lives. We want to live with purpose. We want to understand and have more depth, right? And so we are just going deep into it, and it's just so intense. The astrology is so intense right now, and yet it's this beautiful and perfect lining up. So let's talk this through, because the Sun is coming into, as it comes into conjunction with Black Moon Lilith, which happens on the 18th. And the Black Moon Lilith is now at 25 degrees of Scorpio. And so that means that there's this exact Grand Water Trine between Saturn in Pisces, Jupiter in Cancer, Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. So now with our personal planets coming into this Grand Water Trine, we're really getting into the nitty-gritty, because we've got some intense transformational squares and oppositions. We've got Jupiter square Chiron we've been talking about, right in the middle of 2 exact Jupiter square Chirons for this Grand Water Trine adventure. It's like, okay, here's the gateway, here's the portal, and are you going to step onto that birth canal, or are you going to rot there as a stillbirth, because we're running out of options, choices, and time. So that's kind of the energy of this lining up, right? That, okay, the lining up is saying it is time. It is time for us to, basically it's saying, face who we really are. And until we know who we really are, we're kind of backpedaling. We're going upstream. We're in the eddy. We don't know. Just going in every which direction. The river is like flowing with such speed, but there's, at the edge of the river, there's these eddies, right? Where the river or the creek will then, something floating or being in that eddy will go the opposite direction. And in that time of going opposite direction, you don't know. And then you're turning around and you don't know which direction you came from or which direction you are going to, and then you're really swimming upstream because you're going in circles, right? And you don't even know what's upstream or downstream. So this is kind of where we've been at. And perhaps the energy of this Grand Water Trine is about getting us back into the flow of the way, the river of life, the mother energy, the creation forces returning to Earth. That's really what this astrology is saying. There has been a message coming through around December 2025 for supernova souls of this grand revealing of who we are. And so I think that the Sun coming into this Grand Water Trine is really, really important. It's this illumination into our lives. In the darkest crevices where we've been stuck is actually our greatest purpose, our greatest gift, our greatest loves. And so we're cracking it open, right? But the pain and the trauma of what we've gone through has just made us put an armor on, And now we need the armor of light, the armor of God, not the armor of protection, in isolation. It's like, there's no hiding. So this is kind of the deal. If we're being revealed to ourselves as who we really are, then there's really no hiding that from the rest of the world. And we need to overcome that threshold of fear of showing who we are and just step into it. A great release of this energy that's been pent up for lifetimes of what we have to offer that hasn't been received, welcomed, or even allowed, The most powerful miracle healing power, in alignment with Mother Earth and the Great Mother, the divine feminine principle of love, was called evil, wrong, and bad. And all because it just threatened the power structures, right? So we're literally coming up against those false power structures right here in the constructs of our mind and our psyche. And it's so intense. It's like every day we have to face the Pharaoh, or the authority that is telling us whether or not we get to envision and create the world we want to see, and we know is possible. And we have the code of the original dream. We don't have to figure it out. We are the code, she said. It's not codes. It's a code. It's a plan. We're a faceted, beautiful, dynamic part of this whole experience, right? And that beautiful, faceted, dynamic part is what's coming online in your energy field. And it has to do with your superpowers. And it has to do with all the soul work that you've done over lifetimes. That's what makes our light body come on. It's not knowledge or wisdom, or understanding that's helpful, right? The mechanics. But without the essence of the truth, you're never going to get anywhere. So this is why we've labored for lifetimes to develop these facets, this soul power that we can face this threshold moment in our body, in our daily consciousness and say, boom, this is what's real. It's our soul power of our deeds over lifetimes and striving that allows our light body to activate, and our shield, our field, our armor of God to be present, which is the same thing as walking with Mother Earth. And you can see this, like, she's literally this divine feminine loving presence, your most beautiful mother, walking and holding your hand. But the reality of it is that she's holding you vibrationally with your awareness with her, right? It's mutual reciprocity. And the energy that we share with her, she shares back with us. Excuse me, in the whole world. And this is what we're doing. We're the cup of her love. And so, like, understanding that we are the rightful inheritors of this love, of this golden light, of the remnant, of the Christ consciousness that wants to incarnate in our field. We've been working on this from the very beginning. And this is the greatest story that's never been completely told. And we're kind of at this stopping point right now. It's weird. It's like 2025 is like this whole retrograde, go back in these signs, back into the dungeon of the Piscean age and the deepest, blackest karma that you didn't want to face, And we're coming up against that brick wall. And the brick wall is that we don't have the whole story. We're missing a big piece of it. And that missing piece of the story, which you could call Mary Magdalene, or the divine feminine mysteries and healing and love, in a tiny bit, a fraction of truth around that story makes the power structures of the last 2,000 years fall completely on their head. They have no right to the wealth, to the teachings, to the energy, to any claim of spiritual authority in this world. No wonder she's been hidden so deep, you know. But this force, this presence, this divine feminine is where what in Lemurian times, we lived in a more matriarchal society because we understood that, oh, life comes from the feminine form, right? You know. So when we're going to talk about a creator, we're going to talk about a feminine. She's birthing us, right? We need that spark of creation as well. And this is what we're figuring out, right? It's like everything is about the balance of the masculine and the feminine within us and the polarity, right? Because we're like popping out of polarity into a whole different reality. And so I guess we need to be steeped deep in polarity. And that's the message coming through from Mother right now, is that this karma you're facing or whatever dynamic is coming up for you. It's so interesting because if you understood the past life dynamics that are playing out, it would make sense why it's so huge, you know, because it's like we're walking around in life and it's like, oh, this dynamic is this thing that's just playing out, but it feels life or death and so huge and it's everything. And it's like, yeah, because it is a dynamic representing that, right? And there's something to surrender to this, to the power of the dynamic that's playing out in your life right now, because it's the dynamic that allows you the trajectory and the impetus to the momentum, the terrific momentum that you need to pop out of all the stories. Don't you think it'd be the deepest, darkest one that you haven't been able to face, which is going to mean an oppressor? And most likely that oppressor is also a soulmate. And we're kind of sorting this out, you know, like where is our authority and where is our loyalty? Because there are factions, energies, people, individuals that are surrounding us right now, trying to, on any way they can, make a claim on the energy that's growing within us. And it's like we have to set up a business, you know, and we have to understand the commodity we're working with. This is our inheritance. The wealth that's coming, the soul wealth that's being returned to us. Because guess what? There was all those good thoughts you had and visions and wishes that you could never act on because you were completely blocked for lifetime after lifetime. Blocked from doing the good work that brings the blessings into your energetic field. That is your rightful inheritance. That is what must be returned sevenfold. And that is a lot of wealth. We have what everyone else wants, you guys. No wonder we've been treated like garbage. And under the garbage is the gold. Because this inheritance you cannot take away from anyone. You can try to break them and make them forget, you know, but you cannot take it away. It's our soul wealth. And it simply is about us standing up. And it's interesting because there's been this message that this mantra of like, I claim back all that's mine, right? And then Mom said, wait a minute, correct that. It's got to be I take back. It's one thing to claim it. And this is the thing, we're going up against these forces that are surviving on our energy, right? Parasitic control-based forces. And we're saying, hey, give me back what's mine. And they're like, I'm going to give you back what's yours because I can't survive without it. And it's like, well, then you don't get to live, or you go find another source. Go find another source. You know? Not for sale. So we got to set up. I see a little ticket office. You know, and Mom says, set up your business, right? Like, because you're a commodity. And if you do not start taking heed of the commodity that you are, you know, and I think like we could look at this metaphorically in a deep message for all of us. One of the first books that I wanted to write when I came into the Edgar Cayce work was like the Support for the Intuitive Soul, you know, according to Edgar Cayce, like how to do what he didn't do, or, you know, how to learn from his mistakes, basically, of how to survive as a supernova soul. Very powerful. And there was reading after reading given and lots of money made through inventions and on the stock market and all of these commodities. And the whole gist of it is that he was the commodity. Okay? Because there's the source of the information, and then there's the interpretation of the source. And everyone around him, besides his core level support, like, made it about the resources that could be made from his resource. But he's the only one who could do it. Of course, I think it was his greatest wish to do it with his eyes open and to teach other people how to do it, because we all know we have these abilities within us, But the wealth that was procured, the actual physical wealth procured through the supernova gifts that were stolen, got to be returned. How are we going to handle this level of wealth? What are we even going to do with ourselves? Well, first we heal, right? First we heal, because the traumas we're facing right now are so deep. It's like the story for our whole soul group of where groups of us were genocided because of the actions of other parts of the group, whether they hid it or they didn't hide it. And so now we're coming to the revealing, and we have to deal with all this karma around the persecutions that happen because we hid it or we didn't hide it. And the persecutions happen because the persecutors persecuted, right? And are we the persecutor? How long do we need to punish ourselves? Can we work out the karma of the persecutor? Is that us too? Because we're all one here, right? But when is this game over? Because we've had about enough. Mother Earth says she's going to self-preserve. She's like, ooh, I got what everybody wants. I've been giving it and giving it. Just not worrying, just trusting it'll come back. And that's where your ticket office comes in. It's like, no. First you pay, then you get. No, it's like, not like that. But it's like, can you honor what's offered, or it's not available to you? And it feels so shameful to cut off energy where it's needed because you came in here to give and offer, I don't know. It's like we're having to play out karma to take back our power, to stand up to authority. And it's like so painful to play out that karma, but that must mean that it really isn't our karma. We have been taking the blame. But where can we take responsibility? Because nothing can change until we take responsibility. And maybe we've got to take responsibility for taking the blame and being like, okay, we're going to have compassion and understanding for the dark forces that work through people, but something somewhere has to take responsibility. So is the mind-controlled Patsy responsible, for the school shooting? Or are the mind controllers and those who develop the program of mind control to put that Patsy in the position to be a school shooter? Who's responsible? How long are we as advanced souls going to take responsibility and apologize to the forces that want to block, corrupt, poison, and destroy and steal everything beautiful we create? So this is the brick wall that we're at, and I guess that means that so much this stuff gets figured out as we're talking about it, but so that we're coming back to Mary Magdalene. So we cannot go forward until that's corrected. And that's just in the last 2,000 years. But we're really going back to correct Atlantean time. And the original affront, infiltration and attack on Mother Earth, deliberately through destructive weapons to create a catastrophe program that we're all living through every day. If there's a new catastrophe that's coming, we should be ready for, right? And isn't that a great way to get us to create catastrophe? And it's like, I guess supernova souls, we're cleansing out in our DNA on a cellular level, like the catastrophe program, like no more. Nope. Earth says, Mom says no. We're removing the pain body from Earth. We're removing the parasite from Earth. But it hurts when it's coming off, It feels vulnerable. It's like that snake shedding its skin. So vulnerable. Think about it. Here we are in the year of the snake, and we're getting into the last portion of it. It's in February, beginning of February, where we'll have looking into moving into the Chinese New Year, year of the horse, the fire horse. That's power, it's maturity, it's compassion, it's movement, it's freedom, it's working as a group. Very important energy for us. But we're still in the year of the snake, and we've just shed our skin. It feels like it's busting open, like so we have some relief. But you're laying in the trail, right? You're laying in the middle of the road. And finally, mom busted off to your sheath, but you can't go anywhere. And you can't do anything. Because you've got to grow a little bit more skin. It's very, very vulnerable place. And yet it's complete and total transformation. And is that the transformation? Removing the pain body from Earth. Because with Saturn and Neptune retrograding back into Pisces, that means they're opposite of the end degrees of Virgo, where the South Node just passed through. And all of that brought up with these planets transiting through the end degrees of Pisces into Aries, back into the end degrees of Pisces. Saturn, laws, rules, reality planet. Neptune, our dream, visions, possibilities, and spiritual pursuits. Reality and our dream, both back in Pisces, right? So one day and one moment, we're living the beautiful miracles of the Piscean age, and then we're living the persecutions of the Piscean age. It's so crazy, right? It's like parallel realities. Two fishes, we got really mixed up with that. The fishes are all supposed to be swimming in the school together. And so this is so powerful because this cusp, Pisces and Aries, is where the Jupiter and Saturn met up in conjunction around the time of Jesus's birth, Yeshua. And so that was the last shift of ages. So these planets, Saturn, laws, rules, reality, Neptune, dreaming, Pisces, possibilities, nightmares, delusions. Those two planets going back over this Aries point, is saying it's a rebirth of Christ consciousness. This is the next chapter of the story, but we're at the brick wall because nobody will talk about Mary Magdalene. And it's like the church is going to fall if we don't talk about Mary Magdalene. If we talk about Mary Magdalene, then it might save some sort of semblance of structure for people to draw from. But it's like we're witnessing the glorious demolition of all of the structures of our world, and it's good. There's no Band-Aid that can fix our educational system and our healthcare system, our insurance system, and our financial system. What a crazy, scary, and exciting time to be alive. And this is where Mother says, you're at the edge. You got front row seat. You happen to be awake to this because of all that soul work you've done. So you're not part of this tribulation. You are immune to these plagues now because you take responsibility for yourself as a co-creator, as a visionary, and we align SuperNova souls. And we say, no, we're not the trauma body anymore. We're not playing out those stories anymore. No, we got our ticket office up. And if you want to come to the carnival, that's cool, but you got to buy a ticket, and show your ID that you're not going to come and be a patsy and ruin it, because every single spiritual organization, this is what we've been dealing with. Every time there's a spiritual impulse of people coming together, there's the infiltrator, the great betrayer. Are we our own great betrayer? Is this the karma we're dealing with? And then, so we're facing Mother as this divine feminine goddess who's allowed us to be with her on her journey. And we're saying, we betrayed you. We betrayed ourselves. We are our own betrayer. And then how can we come back in the fold of her love? This is a powerful image in the visionary session that we're working with in those visionary sessions, Walking in Mother's Garden. You can get the recordings of those. We have our last session this Friday, and we also have the Scorpio New Moon activation is Wednesday, the 19th. So, but we're walking in Mother's Garden when we're talking about the field of energy that's available to us. It's literally the folds of Mother Mary's garment. And inside is space and emptiness and openness. That Isis, she holds up the Milky Way. It's one and the same. Sometimes maybe it's Isis's feather wings that can hold you as we birth into the children that we are, Mother's Garden. And we've got to get back to Mother's Garden, right? And so we need to have our ticket office that makes sure, says, hey, in this carnival, this realm, we can identify now. So much in going to past lives where we were persecuted is standing in the steps, in the shoes of that person in that past life, seeing it from a different perspective, what was happening. Because at the time it was wait, everybody's turning against me and I didn't do, there's a misunderstanding and there's forces are, and of course, as the self-conscious souls we are, we took it personally and we made it our karma and we made it our fault. But when you go back and in that moment, you turn to face that oppressor and you say, the gig is up. I got what you want and I'm not giving it over anymore to these forces. And also, I'm not scared of you because all programming, all trauma is based on trauma and fear. Okay, so we've got to heal the trauma and fear energies in our field. And I think that's what this Grand Water Trine is trying to help us with. So going back to the story, just a beautiful dance happening, right? With Mercury is on the 20th. So Mercury right now at the very beginning degrees of Sagittarius, on the 20th, right here in the next couple of days, moving into, now as Mercury goes back into Scorpio, we'll have that exact opposition with Uranus. At the same time that the Sun will be in conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. So, just after the Sun was in conjunction with Black Moon Lilith, and Venus will actually be coming in to that conjunction. But so, no, that's true. The Sun just came into it, Black Moon Lilith, and then Venus will be at the end of the month. So it's Sun, Black Moon Lilith, Mercury opposite Uranus. They come together with the moon for the new moon on the 19th, on the 20th, in most of the world, the 20th, and then they switch roles, right? So the Sun goes to oppose Uranus and the moon will first, and then the Sun, and then Mercury goes back into conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. So Mercury's conjunction with Black Moon Lilith is going to be on the 22nd of November, and the Sun's conjunction with Black Moon Lilith is on the 18th. And so now Mercury, so the conjunction with Black Moon Lilith is the Grand Water Trine, right? So the Sun is going to make it here on the 18th, Mercury on the 22nd, Venus on the 29th. But Mercury is going to go back, retrograde back to 20 degrees of Scorpio, turn direct on the 30th of November, and go right back into that trine. So we've got the Sun making the Grand Water Trine from the 15th to the 22nd. Then Mercury makes the Water Trine during that time as well as they meet up, 17th through the 27th. And then Mercury will make that Water Trine. Then Venus will make the Water Trine from the 24th to the 4th of December, and then Mercury will be back in that Water Trine from the 2nd to the 14th of December. So that means from the 15th of November to the 14th, so a whole month. Here we are. A whole month, this month. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mercury, boom. Conjunct Black Moon Lilith, trine with Jupiter, trine with Saturn. So right now is the exact trine of Jupiter and Saturn, and that lasts until the 21st. And we know how important this is because we talk about Jupiter and Saturn as our generational change maker planets. Saturn the old, Jupiter the new. And so they came together in conjunction there in council. Then they go to sextile. Then square is the tension, the pushing the changes. The last square was in June of 2025. Now they're in trine. Trine means the same element. So water. And water is all about harmonizing, feeling, moving, healing, facing, and nurturing, and so it's really intense, especially with Black Moon Lilith there, because in Scorpio, because Black Moon Lilith is their deepest, darkest secrets. So here we come back to this, that we need to understand the role of the divine feminine, and we can't get anywhere. And so all the disclosure we're talking about around aliens and space and not a space agency, NASA, firmament, and our true history, our true biology, our true chemistry, our true science. It's like, it all has to do with Mary Magdalene. What is under the Vatican then? All the mysteries from Atlantean time. And we've just had little tiny pieces that have been found and discovered and channeled. What happens when the full truth is revealed? Is that the actual gold? Because we heard that the gold was retrieved from under the Vatican, miles and miles of stolen gold. That's the Templars' gold, which was Mary Magdalene's gold, the Mary Magdalene lineage, So is that going to be returned? Then I think we probably are going to get those scrolls and the truth, that the power there's a power of spiritual authority in the lineage. And they took that and made it like the Rothschilds infiltrated the royal bloodlines and made it about the divine rulership of kings and queens. But that was infiltrated lineage, not the true rightful kings and queens, right? The rightful inheritors must retrieve that connection to the land through the lineage. That land must be given back to them, the estate. But what is the estate really? If these are spiritual lineages that have held the secrets and the love and this power, then what is the estate that we're really inheriting? And I guess that's what we're doing every day, trying to take back this, claiming and taking back our rightful blessings. Maybe we can, since all of this healing was blocked, karmically, like the healing has to come back, but also the blessings of that healing. So it's just know that healing is the name of the game right now. And maybe that's why Mary Magdalene's being called from the crypt, because she is the healer. That's who she is. And Edgar Casey reading said that's why she exists. That's why she's come to earth and exists on any level, is for healing. And so shall we go into the ritual bathing pools, right? And purify and realign and atone and apologize that we weren't right and true in our total devotion to her beautiful body. And we rebuild the temples, right? The solution to any kind of karmic atonement is to do the work. But we've been blocked on every turn, right? And so it just feels like all these blessings, all this miracles, all this wealth, all these ideas, visions, seeds we planted in past lives, projects, understandings, technology, flooding back into our life. It will be like a carnival, and you will want to sell a ticket because you're going to understand the wealth, right? Like, it's a nice ticket booth, right? It's shiny and decorated, and maybe that's a safe place for you to show your crown. But, not everybody can gain entry to that temple. And actually, no one gets to go there right now because it's getting cleaned up. And we're inhabiting, right? Like we literally are cleansing out implants, technologies, and infiltrations in our body that have made it that we cannot own our own temple. We can't think our own thoughts and be in our own psyche. It is the greatest travesty that has been inflicted upon man. And yet it's written. I think it's the seventh miasm. In homeopathy, there's these different layers that Samuel Hahnemann discovered, layers of disease through heredity, through history. And they kind of correspond with the chakras, and there's a mystery seventh one. What is the seventh miasm or taint, a disease, dis-ease, and it's technology. We have to overcome AI. We in our consciousness need to be more powerful than the messages and the frequencies and the vibrations of AI. And we are masters of frequency. This is how we protect ourselves. And you know what? This is how it was encoded to the teachings of Mary Magdalene in symbols and song. This is how we protected ourselves, through song, vibration. So we got to find that song. We got to find that vibration. And literally, there's stories of the Essene cultures in their caves and their retreats and stuff like that, and that they could sense enemies from far away. And what they would do is emit a very high frequency vibration through song, chanting, drums, instruments. These are the bells of old that have been stolen from us. Let's just start. We could just return the bells and the incandescent lights, and we will win. The bells, the big bells, resonating. I mean, the miracle of these Tartarian bells resonating, huge bells resonating frequency for miles, clearing demons from the town. So we are masters at the understanding. And I guess that's a beautiful metaphor too, because I've been like, wow, what went into the master craftsmanship of crafting a bell to get just the right frequency? And is that what we're doing in our energy field? We're literally crafting the bell. We're tuning the bell. Is it brass that can be molded and hammered? Oh, Thor's hammer. Maybe that's what's going on. We got this beautiful picture recently of Thor and his hammer. The constructs, the false constructs that we're all like living with in our field that are trapping us, lower personality constructs that keep triggering us back into the trauma and fear. And he's just like, you want me to break that shit? I'll break it. Just one blow of the hammer and that shit is in pieces. 1,000 pieces. Just like JFK said he would do the CIA. Oh, wait, is that what's happening? Into 1,000 pieces, he said. This is a big plan, a longer plan. And this is where maybe Mother says, hey, step back and see the bigger plan. The bigger code that Mom wins again. Divine Feminine can't just be cut out completely of this story, It's all going to come back around to the garden. It has to. And so there's a way, way bigger thing playing out as she's in charge. The original laws and rules. This is our soul group, right? This is why it's so important that we understand and delve into these mysteries, do this walking in Mother's garden. What are the natural laws and rules, right? When Moses was trying to free the chosen ones, there had to be laws established in order to learn how to be free. And so these laws, they don't actually need to be established because it's the law of the land, natural law, right? This is physics, quantum physics. This is classical homeopathy, all healing, all dynamics and everything, all the elemental forces have to do with this. And so we also come back to the dance of polarity and understanding that we're spiritually infused chemical beings. Now, that picture brings forward a picture around this very elaborate dance and procession that's happening, starting right now. Really it started with all of our personal planets going through that kite, the air trine kite, saying, yeah, we're trying to lift up into the new Renaissance. Let's go, lift up. But then the weights that have been pulling us down, the lies and persecution and traumas of the Piscean age, the attack on the Christ consciousness. Was that written too? Like, did we really need to lose our teacher to crucifixion? And maybe we did, but does that not mean that Pilat needs to atone as a soul if he's really a soul? Like, or are we that betrayer? Are we our own betrayer? Are we the body of Mother Earth, our own betrayer? And can we stop now and atone? I don't know. It's heavy. It's heavy, dark shit. The message is that so much of what you're trying to move isn't yours. And yet there's something important in understanding the heaviness of it. We can't transmute it for the collective or any other soul anymore. But there's something about understanding the depth of it and the heaviness of it. And is this why we've gone through what we've gone through before everyone else? Because we are the ones at the cutting edge, the demonstration, which means we need to get our act together, get in alignment, and be willing to demonstrate a different way. You know, it's not about being received, although that's what's written, you know, it's like, that's the picture that Mom talks about. It's like, it's going from all these forces working against you to now with you and behind you, you know? So maybe that's the collective atonement towards the healers. But in this shift, the gel time that she's saying that we're stepping out of the traumas and tragedies of the past and into this new dream, feeling worthy inheritors. We can only do that if we do the work and shine and step forward. So just a lot of pressure on supernova souls right now. I think that has to do with the early Sagittarius activation by Mercury retrograde, because the early Sag and all the early parts of the fire signs for supernova souls, there's just this pressure to come into some expression that you haven't been able to for lifetimes. That's a lot. And is it heavier than the shame? Or is the shame keeping us from feeling the pressure? It's easier to feel the shame. So it's very powerful to look at this lining up and how things are coming together. Excuse me. Mercury, the Sun, conjuncting Black Moon Lilith, exact trine. So the exact trine between Jupiter and Saturn will be happening for the Sun's journey and Mercury's second journey through the Grand Water Trine. And then it's going to break up. And so it's only when the trine is breaking up out of the exact trine that Venus will come in, you know? And it's interesting, Venus coming in, because it's feeling like, whoa, you know? Where did the constructive forces of creation, you know, because I felt the power of her energy coming in. When did it become destructive? When did we make it? We've made it destructive. So we destroyed the goddess. You know, and it's like the power of the goddess energy in past lives where individual souls were able to embody that energy. It created wars and problems left and right. Was that the fault of the creation energy? Because like this is how the healer was blamed. Like when you do homeopathy and the body moves and heals, and then that the healing is the vital force moving is blamed and seen as the disease, and say, oh, they're getting worse. It's getting worse. It's that the symptoms are the disease itself, and it's like, no, the symptoms are the disease trying to leave the organism. So the messenger always gets blamed for the message, and the healer always gets blamed for the disease in our inside out, backwards, upside down world that we've been living in the Piscean age and reliving with Neptune and Pisces. But this is almost over. Do you understand this? Yes, we're in the dungeon. Saturn and Neptune retrograde back in Pisces. We are in the dungeon, but Neptune turns direct December 11th and moves back into Aries January 27th. And no more back into Pisces. We're done with the nightmares of the Piscean age. So it's like maybe we need to be firm and resolute and strong and be like, this is my last chance to get this shit, and I'm going to get it because I'm not taking this baggage with me, right? It's my last chance to get the nitty gritty out of my subconscious from the persecution energy of the Piscean age. I'm not carrying this with us. Mother Earth is taking off the pain body. And very, very powerful message with all of this. So when Mercury and the Sun meet up during the retrograde, that's like the middle of the retrograde. It's like the meeting of Mercury and the Sun. So Mercury Sun conjunctions are hallmarks of the retrograde pattern of Mercury. And so it's really always interesting to know, when are they going to meet up again after the retrograde resolves? That's in January. Get this, Mercury and the Sun meet up at 0 degrees or 29 degrees Capricorn and move over into Aquarius together. Okay, so what's happening right now with Mercury and the Sun lining up is aligning up to get us out for completely from this pain body and from the persecution energies of the past and the grief and the shame and the guilt and all of it that's been ruling our body, you know, in the Piscean age. It's like we were abducted and taken over the earth with this pain body, with the dark mother, with the hurting, with the ignoring, with the neglect, with the withholding and the scarcity. It's like, that's not our mother. Not buying it. So Mercury and the Sun's lining up this time is a setting in place for the lining up. Now, January is crazy the way the planets are lining up. We got Mercury, Venus, the Sun, all together, and Pluto. Just add a little old Pluto in there, right? All lining up in Capricorn and Aquarius. That's just before Neptune moves back into Aries, and then we'll have that Chinese New Year. So it's like we're setting the stage for this 6 weeks of time with this Mercury conjunction, and it's on a new moon, opposite of Uranus in Taurus. So Mercury going back, and this is this intensity. It's like, oh, it's almost like we've been trying to deal, distraction. And now the tunnel is narrowing. The portal is a slit, and yet we're being pulled through. And it's that feeling of like the marble trying to get down the hole, you know? And it's like at the very end, it's like boom, 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 bouncing all over the place just before it drops into that stillness. That's where Mom wants us to be, in the stillness, because we know that in the stillness, that's where all is created, right? Though you got to calm the waters to 0 point before you can create something new, because the water takes on memory. And we've been having all kinds of fun in our ego games of telling the water what we want it to do and how we want it to feel. And now we go to 0 point and we listen to Mother's code, the dream, the original dream. We don't have to create it. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to design it. All we have to do is go look at the stories of these past lives and the texts and the methods and the things played out. We've got the absolute perfect map of everything we want to create has already been planted in a seed form. And so we're surrendering into this, and maybe that's this alignment of the 6 weeks, right? We're in that gel phase of everything turning around, but that requires a complete and total adjustment from us, right? Complete and total ego death, complete and total atonement, retribution, laying down on Mother's body, crying, praying, meditating, loving, singing our song. And so this is the power of this time. So Mercury moving back in the next couple of days into Scorpio, an exact opposition with Taurus, Uranus and Taurus, which is about, Uranus back in Taurus is about reclaiming our hidden wealth. Uranus is a higher frequency vibration, ancient secrets, mysteries, all the things we're talking about, the Ark of the Covenant that Mother Mary, or the Marys, Mary Magdalene guards, that the Templars were guarding, the secret mysteries of the feminine. That's the wealth, that's the gold. And so we're this energy of this, because Uranus, the hallmark of this Mercury retrograde is 3 oppositions with Uranus. The Sun is about to make that opposition, and Venus is about to make that opposition as well. And so from the very end degrees of Scorpio across from Uranus and Taurus, we're looking at the deep, shadowy darkness, a bloom of it, that has obfuscated the truth of spirit. And that was this veil put over the feminine. And so this is the Armageddon. This is the apocalypse. This is the great revealing, you know. I mean, maybe the second coming is going to be a check. Like, I mean, as far as like the visions that we have, you know, and we know we have to join back together, the masculine and the feminine. And so we've heard lots of people having visions of Yeshua and the connection with that. And maybe this is this revealing that's happening right now with Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio is actually a direct connection to the Marys in our psyche to heal and release the darkest stories. That soul group and those lineages carry the persecution energy and feel directly responsible. But really, it's about releasing the healing magic so we can fix it. There's nothing that can't be healed. Nothing too dark that can't be shed light upon. And nothing too sick that can't be healed. Message of Mary Magdalene herself. So, it's very powerful, this story, as these the opposition with Uranus. So Mercury will make that opposition come into exact conjunction with the Sun and the Moon for the new moon at 28 degrees. And then the Sun and Mercury switch places. And Mercury goes into that conjunction with Black Moon Lilith, and the Sun opposes Uranus. So the Sun opposite Uranus is on the 22nd. And so just after that new moon. And it's just so incredibly powerful, this aligning up. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Black Moon, Lilith. So now the Sun, what we've got, this is the most important message right now this week, because the Sun coming into the Grand Water Trine is this like grand illumination of who you are. Because we've been getting this message for SuperNova souls that December is about a revealing to ourselves of who we really are. And a revealing to the world comes in a months ahead in 2026. So the Sun coming into this Grand Water Trine is this, it's like darkness, darkness, darkness. And then the Sun is like, because Mercury and the Sun together in a birth chart is a brilliant mind, a brilliant understanding. And so when they come together in the sky, the Sun is our identity. Who are we? And we know it's been hidden and stolen, and we've tried to be erased and cloned and all that. It's like, oh no, this is who we are. And that revealing is like a bright and powerful light in your life that you cannot avoid. And then you realize it's coming from you. Right here, it's like a headlight in the dark, like you're down in the mine shaft. But you have a light. And it's okay to be in the mine shaft with a light that nobody can put out ever again. So this is a grand revealing of who we are. This Sun coming into the Grand Water Trine. And meeting up with Mercury, new moon in Scorpio at the very end degree says it's a new start for healing and facing secrets and getting disclosure. I mean, Black Moon Lilith, deepest, darkest secrets. And the Sun as our true self illuminating. So it's our true self, our true story, our true soul essence that illuminates and sheds through the darkness. And that's interesting because we've seen this powerful souls working on other planes, creating a pathway through the lower astral plane of these very confused and very lost souls that have passed in these last years, and helping them understand their role in blazing a path of light. This is what we're doing, and we're figuring that out, and we're getting back all the tools and resources we need to do it. And so right now it's about facing the mirror, right? Because if you went and you had that headlamp and you went and you go look in the mirror, it's going to blind you. And is that why you've been hiding your light? Because you didn't want to hurt anybody with it. And that's just a story from the Piscean age and all the way back to Atlantean time, right? So that new moon is this incredible lining up, incredible clarity, but the clarity can't really come until Mercury completes the retrograde, because the clarity we're looking for with this Mercury retrograde is the mountaintop, the bigger, wider view of what we're working on, the bigger quest. We didn't even realize. We're just plodding along, getting through, not realizing that we're really making headway on this grand vision, grand quest that we've been working on through this whole evolution. And so to see that bigger, like getting to that above, you thought you were coming to the top of the mountain, but there was another false peak and then another false peak. And then finally you get the vista view. You get up there, there's mist and fog. You can't see anything. Now the fog is clearing, and that is Mercury's resolve. And so Mercury will turn direct on the 30th of November, another time through that Grand Water Trine, conjunction with Venus on the 22nd, the same day. I think, the 25th at 22 degrees. Mercury will go catch up with Venus in Scorpio at 22 degrees. It's so powerful because, again, Mercury catching back up to Mars, Mercury catching back up to the Sun, Mercury catching back up to Venus, all happens in January. So it's very crucial 6 weeks, 2 months here. Whew. I mean, and I just feel like we're in that ritual bathing pool, because in that pool we have all the memories, our Akashic memories. We can heal the traumas. We can see clearly. We can feel protected and safe in our womb. You know, maybe that's part of it. A massive bloom of the darkness out there. We got to be in our ticket booth, our womb, our healing, our pool. Purification is the name of the game with these water trines. So Mercury will turn direct, come in, on the 30th. So go back conjunct with Venus on the 25th, and then go turn direct on the 30th, come back into the Grand Water Trine. So Venus will be, Venus and Mercury triggering the Grand Water Trine both in the beginning of December. Venus going into it in between the two Mercuries. Do you get this? Mercury is showing up finally for Venus. Mercury is cradling her and supporting her with information, clarity, and a reflection of her light. Because Mercury goes in the Grand Water Trine, meets up with Venus, turns direct, goes back into the Grand Water Trine. So the masculine is ready, our mind is ready to hold the concepts of the divine feminine for humanity instead of disregard, invalidate, discourage, and destroy the records. So is this the turnaround moment? It's Mercury retrograde. Because like we said, when Mercury goes back, so Mercury will enter back into Scorpio on back into Sag on the 12th of December. So turns direct November 30th, 12th of December goes back into Sag. So that's when I'm around then planning another of these small group readings. We've got one this Friday for when Mercury heads back into this conjunction with Venus. So, on Saturday, it's a small group reading. It's limited to 10 participants, and we can go deep into past lives with a small amount. There's also time to share at the end, and so it's very powerful work for the whole field of supernova souls. A small group reading, one on November 22nd, and then there's going to be one in December around that time when Mercury goes back into Sag, because the clarity's coming. And these past lives, everything that's been hidden from us that we're talking about, revealing, is in the Akashic records. And the past life readings are everything, And so it's so important in this work. And if you can be a part of that and bring this wisdom and knowledge to all of us, it's $100 for your spot in that 10 group session. And so I hope you'll consider joining one or both of those small group readings. Incredibly powerful times, but we've got the Scorpio New Moon on Wednesday, the 19th, and then on Friday we'll have our final visionary session. But those replays are available for Walking in Mother's Garden. If you want to go get those visionary sessions, they will support you through this next 2 months. And then on Saturday we have a small group reading. So very powerful time for us to vision and be in the energy of what we want to create. This is what everything is saying. It's like, don't let the old patterns dictate your current reality. Yes, we got to face them. Yes, we got to heal the karma. Yes, we got to atone, feel the shame. And yes, bring our vibration, our energy, our vision, our love, our frequency back to Mother's Garden. It's so simple. And yet it's so difficult, isn't it? But in the most difficult situations you might find yourself in, where you're fighting for your life against Satan through this random person or whatever's happening, I walk in Mother's Garden. I walk in Mother's Garden. I walk in Mother's Garden. I walk in my abundance. I'm in Mother's Garden. I see Mother's Garden. I feel it. And this is why it's so important to come back into that visionary alignment with what we want to create. Because Neptune, Saturn in Pisces, the patterns. Neptune in Pisces, all the possibilities. And so we want to be in all the possibilities before we leap off into the new, because we want the optimal new. And that's why the purification is happening right now. So this massive illumination with this new moon, opposite Uranus. So the illumination is also about recovering hidden wealth. So Mercury's 3 oppositions with Uranus during this retrograde are about recovering the hidden wealth. So now we know that the hidden wealth can no longer be hidden once the illuminating light of who we really are shines into our lives from our own being and out into the world. So it's powerful because it's like this whole explosion of lining up energies of this Scorpio New Moon, all these planets in Scorpio, the Grand Water Trine, and all of this healing and purification and karmic release is available. But smack dab in the middle of this really intense Jupiter square Chiron. So the second exact of Jupiter square Chiron will be December 19th through 27th. And that's powerful because it's like we're implementing what we've learned and what we've healed and what we've aligned and what we've atoned in the Grand Water Trine, and really setting our boundaries of what we will allow in our carnival, our ticket office. You want to come to Mother's Garden? Sure. It's available for everyone. But show that you're going to respect it and honor it, So that is so powerful. So then right after that new moon is when that's on the 20th. And then Mercury comes into the Grand Water Trine. Venus, for the full moon, Venus will be in trine to the North Node. On the 19th, we'll be feeling this Venus. And so before Venus enters into the water trine, just like Mercury and the Sun, as they took their turns, came into this. So the Sun just made this at the beginning of November, trine with the North Node. And now Venus is trining up with the North Node. So it's saying all of this lining up and this illumination and this clearing and this healing and rejuvenation. It's about the feminine is the only way forward. The divine feminine, the way, the mother's way is the only way forward. And we're coming to that, right? That there's just one North Star. And so we've got to get into alignment of the way. And it's like, so it's going from this marble dancing around with all these forces and factions and karmas and actions and reactions, and then falling into the portal, into the whole, into the peace, into the primordial peace, into landing in that most optimal, perfect timeline, the ideal, which is her plan. We don't have to figure it out. It's so great. But we are figuring it out because Mercury opposite Uranus and the Sun, Mercury, Black Moon Lilith opposite Uranus, revealing that hidden wealth. And because Uranus is higher frequency technologies, understandings from ancient Atlantis and the future. And so that's incredibly powerful. And so that's a precursor. So the Sun opposes Uranus on the 22nd, and Venus will oppose Uranus on the 30th, the day that Mercury turns direct. And then Mercury will come into the third and final opposition with Uranus on December 11th. And that's when we're having, Mercury moving back into Sagittarius. So from the 11th to the 17th of December, it's like that. Right when we're having the second exact of Jupiter square Chiron, we have Mercury transiting, coming to the top of the mountain, transiting those early degrees for the third time of Sagittarius, getting the full bigger picture. Now that we see the full bigger picture that's going on, we are not buying your games anymore, right? Is so powerful. So be so present with that. And it's like, so that clarity, the bigger picture is what allows us to put the boundary on the feeding, parasitic feeding of creation forces of Earth. That yes, these forces are here for all of us, only to be used in alignment with the natural laws, the rules. They're unavoidable, unmistakable. You don't have to prove them in a court of law. We know these rules because they're also karmic laws, right? And it's time for the karmic laws to come into this one life, right? Like, we're not going to wait till our next lives to get this shit resolved. And that's why it's so intense right now. Oh my gosh. So hang in there. And so it's just so powerful this time. But then Venus in the Grand Water Trine happens. She's the last, or Mercury will make it again, but they're making it together. From Venus will be making that Grand Water Trine from the 24th of November to December 4th. And then that retrograde Mercury moving back into Sagittarius, giving us that bigger picture. So it's incredibly powerful that then there's a dissipation of all these planets. Mercury's still got to resolve the retrograde. Venus is up ahead. The sun, is moving. Mercury will resolve. Mars is up there, but these planets will catch up to Mars all in January. So cleanse, heal, prepare, and be ready for these beautiful moments that lie ahead around opposite of Uranus, retrieving our hidden wealth. So this new moon, a lot of clarity could come. It's almost like we're cracking down into the depths of the secret hidden teachings in this Scorpio new moon. And then the revealing of those, of who we are and the practical application of who we are through the resolving of the Mercury retrograde. And then we move into a whole new chapter. Now that time between December, I'd say solstice, through which is when Black Moon Lilith is going to move into Sagittarius. That's a big shift. Until that third and final square between Jupiter and Chiron, which is in July. That 6 months is very, very crucial. It is the complete overhaul of our internal world so that we can move our internal world external. Right? We take the laws and rules of the spirit world and we live them and demonstrate them as a force, as a parade, as a procession, just like the planets in January. So it's so powerful. So now what's happening right now with this whole lining up of Mercury, Sun, Black Moon Lilith together in Scorpio is highlighting this upcoming Black Moon Lilith opposite of Uranus, right? Because we've got like Mercury's having opposite Uranus, conjunction with the Sun, conjunction Black Moon Lilith. The Sun's going conjunction Black Moon Lilith, conjunction Mercury, opposite. So there's trading off. And so it's triggering and activating the Black Moon Lilith opposition with Uranus, which is exact from December 3rd to the 11th. And that's just so powerful because we've got Mercury retrograde trying to resolve, and we've got Jupiter square Chiron, Venus in the Grand Water Trine, so transformational. So Black Moon Lilith, deepest, darkest secrets in Scorpio, opposite of the hidden wealth of higher intuitive wisdom. Jupiter square Chiron, expanding into mother's love. Got to break the chains of control and take back the energy that's been stolen. How can we be the cup of love if we're leaking it out like a sieve, you know? And so this is what's going on, and a lot of energy and attention. I'm looking at offering a discount for this Owning Your Energetic Field course, because this is everything we're talking about. If we could do this work together, get together for some Q&A, support group, Owning Your Energetic Field, very crucial and important work. Everything in the astrology is speaking to this with Jupiter square Chiron. And right now, Jupiter and Chiron are still at 23, 25 degrees. They're going to be, Jupiter's going to move to 24 degrees on the 22nd. So that's bringing it back in. So the 22nd is a huge energy because we got the Sun opposite Uranus that day. And something else is going on. So incredibly powerful. The Sun moves into Sagittarius on the 23rd. So that's going to be a big shift. The first planet to make the move after, Mars is in Sagittarius now. And so the Sun joining Mars and Sagittarius is like, okay, we can see a little clearly. We're going to come up for air, take a deep breath. We've been in the water trine, beautiful, floating around, but we're going to go and see what might be above the surface, And so very powerful time with that. And so I hope that you can join us for the Scorpio New Moon activation Wednesday, November 19th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time in the U.S. Incredible moments. The actual new moon is about 12 hours later. And so we'll be able to set a very powerful energy. This is an absolute alignment, preparing for the illumination, preparing for the bigger picture, preparing for the massive disclosure of who you are to yourself so you can prepare to be disclosed to the world. And I'm just so glad we're here together, Supernova Souls. It means so much to me that you can listen to this, that I prattle on about all of these things and be present with these concepts and understand what I'm talking about and be present with me on the astral plane in communication about these understandings. It means so much to me. And so I just love getting together. We had a beautiful Zoom call for Supernova Soul Tribe members, and that will continue. And so I would love to have your membership, and thank you so much for being a part of the membership. It's $20 a month. That gets you into the new moon activation and the full moon activation, and a beautiful experience of coming together to set up the structure, supernova structure, that can support us in being this overflowing cup, this demonstration, this example, this living, breathing mother energy in the world. So it's so powerful and we know that the abundance must be returned and that we are the avenues of abundance. And so we better get our act together. We better start getting organized. We better start getting to know each other and get synthesized. So as this massive illumination and clarity is coming about who you really are, you could expect massive illumination and clarity maybe as the retrograde resolves with Sagittarius, but of your path and purpose. Who we are has been hidden and erased. And how can we be in our path and purpose? And we are beating ourselves up for not being in our path and purpose when our path and purpose was literally erased. So it's like the sun illuminating who we are beyond the darkness of the stories we've been told. And then our path and purpose illuminated as a result of that. So great clarity is coming. Take the time you need to meditate, be at peace, and receive. To follow your intuitions about the texts and things to read, to open up these worlds that are opening up to us. It's like the catacombs of what's been hidden under the Vatican is also within our psyche. And as it's opened up for us in our psyche. Incredibly powerful. And that's the work of that visioning session. So I'd love to have you join us for those visioning sessions. One remaining visioning session, but you'll have access to the recordings of the last 3. So important, so powerful, supporting us in holding this vibrational field of the mother energy, receiving from the mother, receiving healing, detox, alignment, a support group. And it's so helpful for me. So thank you so much for being a part of that. Also, look out for this discount for owning your energetic field. There's also the goddess activation available. And I have a limited amount of individual sessions for astrology, intuitive astrology readings, intuitive healing session. That's the past life work available. So any of these avenues that you could offer support for this river, for this movement that we're all a part of, means so much to me right now, and such a great help. There's a link to donate in the information box below as well if you appreciate these messages. If this messages and this energy has been supportive to you, and you have a possibility of offering a little support back to the movement and to me personally at this moment, it would be greatly appreciated and very powerful in this crucial time of a turnaround. So thank you so much for being here. Your best support is being who you are and just listening and being present with these concepts and ideas, being available as Mother's Army on the astral plane, and being available for the illumination of the return and the remembering of who you are. Nothing's being given to you that hasn't been earned and already received. So we've got to stop shying away from our inherited abundance. And I guess this is what Uranus back in Taurus is helping us to do. Uranus will be going back into Gemini in April. So that's a very powerful marker on this timeline as we lead into the ultimate freedom for supernova souls and the earth. July 2026. I love you so much, supernova souls. Thank you for your support and for being with me, for going through all you've gone through, for wading through the dark, for feeling the feelings that others can't feel, processing, taking the blame. You know, maybe it's the only way we could move the heavy energy was to take the blame for a little while until those that can actually heal it can handle taking the blame. And it's okay. And can we just forgive ourselves and just come back into that alignment moment to moment, that whatever's going around us, Mother's Garden is being birthed in here, in the grand illumination of this chapter of redemption and correction that's coming in this next 6-7 months. So thank you so much, supernova souls. I love you so much, and I look forward to seeing you Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and ongoing another supernova Zoom. You mean so much to me, and I'm so honored to have you in my life. So I look forward to connecting and being together in person as we reenact and water the seeds. You know, we're calling up the primary waters of Earth, where she was drained into a desert by misuse. And we're calling back the waters to feed those seeds, the projects that we've started in past lives, to nourish them, that we don't have to figure it out. It's all written there. We ourselves figured out these systems and patterns and technologies and ways to do things and organizations and methods and practical ways. We can learn from the mistakes of our past lives now, redeem ourselves, and move forward in this incredible, beautiful creation. Or say, no, it's ours now. We don't have to feel guilty, wrong, or bad, or we don't deserve it, or it's not safe, or somebody's going to come harass us and hassle us. No, we're stepping into Mother's Garden. Every step we take, every breath we make. So I'll meet you there. Thank you so much, supernova souls. I love you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.